Hi everyone, Josephine here. Welcome back to my channel today with my August TBR to be read, what I want to read in August. And it's nuts. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know. I really want to get through all of those books, but I don't know what I'm thinking. That's just, that's I think the easiest way of saying this. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden there were so many books in August where it was like, I have to read them in August because of reasons that I will explain while I'm talking through them. And I have no idea how I'm going to do this because all of them are either chunky and or not necessarily easy reads, like not this, quick, fast page turners that you can read in an afternoon. So yeah, you can take bets now and see if I'll make it. I don't know. So let's start with continuation of series. I have a spreadsheet. I don't know why, because I don't know. I like numbers. I like organization. I don't know really if it helps, but it makes me feel better. In the spreadsheet, I'm reading all of the series that I'm currently reading. And these are series that are fully published, where I'm in the middle of, but there's also series that have not been finished by the author yet, and the status of them. There are a bunch, but I want to start working through them. And what I'm trying to put together in that spreadsheet is not just listing the series that I'm in the middle of, but also planning out when I'm going to read them over the next months. And what I started with, the Green Rider series, where I'm trying to read one book every month, I'm trying to do that with other series. It's not working great so far, except for the Green Rider ones. But I'm trying. Based on that list, theoretically, I would have had 8 continuation series. No, some of them are beginning ones. Anyway, so based on that, on my planning that I did a couple of months ago, I should read 8 books, just books in random states in a series. And that ain't gonna happen. So let's talk about those where I think I might be able to make it. Number 1 is Kristen Britain. Of course, I have to continue reading Green Rider. If you haven't heard that in my July TBR, this is my favorite series of all times, and Firebrand is book 6 in the series, and book 7 comes out in September. So I have to read it, and that's a big boy. That's 780 pages. Yeah, pretty close. 790 pages. So I have to read that. I mean, there's no way around. And I'm really looking forward to that because this is only going to be my second reread for this particular book. So I'm really excited because I forgot a lot of stuff that is happening in here. So I'm really excited for reading book 6 and seeing how Kerrigan is doing in her, oh my goodness, journey. And yeah, so we're going from there. That's a must, and that will probably happen, well, I shouldn't say that, but I'm hoping that will happen early in August. The next series that I'm going to continue is the Shadow Histories. Well, it's actually just a duology, so it makes it really easy. But I picked up book 1 in July. It was one of my random squirrel Kindle buys. I don't even know how I got to that. All of a sudden I saw it and I thought the cover looks awesome. The description looks great. So I read book 1 in July, but I talk more about that in my July wrap-up. But book 2 is available. I think it actually came out just recently. And one of the fun things that I did in July is I signed up for NetGalley, which is for people who review books or publishers and such, an online platform to provide early copies of books. So the second book of this duology is already out, so you can go out in the bookstore and buy it. So it's not an early access, if you will. But after I read book 1 and after I applied for NetGalley, so it didn't happen. I didn't apply to NetGalley because I wanted to get book 2. I read book 1 and then separate situation, I applied there. And after I got accepted at NetGalley, I thought, hey, maybe they have the second book there that I could ask for that. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, they approved it. So yay, I'm going to read book 2 in August. And I'm really excited about it. And that's probably actually one of my slower reads for August because book 1 definitely is slow, which is not necessarily bad. It actually fits the story. And I'm really excited to read book 2, which is called Radical Act of Free Magic, and the cover looks as gorgeous. Next up are series that I want to start. And I don't know why I'm not finishing series first. Why am I starting new series when I'm finishing them? But And that's where it starts with there's so much stuff happening in August that where I just couldn't say no, and whereas like it has to happen, I have to read this particular book in August. So it's going to be a fun juggling exercise. But I'm joining 2 read-alongs. The first one, I mean, I was already planning on reading it anyway in August because the last book in this series is coming out in November. And right, I said, you know, reading 1 book per month in a series. So I'm trying to do the same thing for this series that I do for the Green Rider, that I'm reading 1 book per month till the 4th book comes out in November. And you might already know what this is going to be, but just in case you don't, it's Senlin Ascends. I'm finally going to understand why all the people are so excited about this book. I've heard so many things. I mean, I actually have heard nothing about it, if you think about it. Everybody talks about it, but no one says really, which I think is good, don't get me wrong. No one says really what it is about. The only thing people say is that Senlin goes on a honeymoon vacation or just a vacation with his wife to the Tower of Babel, and she disappears and he is trying to find her. That's essentially all I know. And I've on purpose not watched any reviews because I want to read this so bad. Everybody keeps saying that the writing is amazing and that the way the story is told is so different. And that's what I'm here for. So I was already planning on reading this. And then it also got picked by Michael Knipp's patrons as the monthly read. And I am a patron of Michael Knipp's. I'm linking the channel down below just in case you have no idea who he is. And of course, I mean, how can I say no, right? I have to read Senlin Ascends. And then next month, I have to read The Armor of the Swings. And then in October, I have to read Hot King. Because in November, The Fall of Babel comes out. And then I can read Fall of Babel in November. So that's that. And then number 2 is in Alan from the Library of Alexandria. His next big buddy read is starting. And that's The Empire of Black and Gold from Adrian Tchaikovsky. Similar here to the Senlin Ascends. I found those books because I read Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It was my very first official sci-fi book that I've read. And I loved his writing style so much that I looked up all the other books that he wrote. And this particular series really spoke to me and I loved the covers. So I got out and I tried to find all those UK covers because I'm not a huge fan of the newly published version. I think is it Orbit that did the new one, that are all black and just have like a thing on there. And it was quite the hunt to get all of them. But then you know how it is, right? Other things came up and other books were picked up first, and it's a 10-book series, so I was always a little bit hesitant. I wanted to finish my Green Rider first, and then I was in the middle of Dune, and then I was like, you know, I also want to read Malazan. So I was always like, oh god, when do I start with this big series? I finally found a reason to pick up the series because I want to read it with everybody else, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm glad Alan got everybody so excited about it so that there are more people now that know about this series. So yay! The next series that I'm going to start and that I'm actually hoping to finish in July is another NetGalley pick. So again, as I said, right, I signed up for that. I was super excited. While I was looking through it, I found another book. It was a historical fiction about Rome called Gods of Rome. And I read the description and it sounded really great about war, 2 brothers that are fighting against each other and all in an old Roman setting as a historical fiction. And I looked it up because you know how it is with historical fiction, with fantasy, it's always series and you always have to quadruple check that you're not buying the 3rd book in a series. So I looked it up on Goodreads and I was like, you know what, this sounds really great. I want to try it. I requested access for it. I got accepted. I downloaded it and I wanted to start reading, and then I'm like, hang on a second. This doesn't feel like a standalone book. And it wasn't. It was the 3rd book in a series. So I have to read book 1 and 2 before I can read the book that I got on NetGalley. Thankfully, it's a topic I'm interested in, and I'm really excited about this one. So this is about 2 brothers, and it starts with, and again, I'm trying to go into those blind, so I haven't read too much about it, but essentially it's about 2 brothers or 2 friends rather. So 2 friends that are very close, but then just politics and war drives them apart, and it's essentially their story across the 3 books. The first one is a bit chunkier, it's 500 something pages, but the second one is just 300 and the third one is not as big either, so I'm hoping I can make it. And book 3 actually comes out early September, so I hope that I'm, caught up by the time the book releases. So that would be great. And now that is already a lot of books with series, so I needed some standalone stuff. Another thing that I'm trying in the month of August is a book club, where I watched a video from Sam. I think her channel is Thoughts on Tombs or something very similar. Again, put her link down below. And she was introducing a more literate online book club called Literati, where you have 12 people who each month pick a book, and then there's a whole discussion forum going on. They have live videos, not for all 12, I don't think, but for one of them they have, or two of them maybe, they have live videos at the end of the month. There's discussion groups. So I thought I'd try it out. I got my Literati box, which is the book club of the month, and I was torn between two of the books. I ended up ordering the other book, so I'm not affiliate with them, just saying, right? It's just what I've signed up for that, I'm paid for that. I'm just trying it out because I thought, you know, it might be interesting. For August, I picked the Roxane Gay book, which is the Audacious Book Club. They all have weird names. And it's the Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford, which is, I don't think, going to be a light read. And again, I don't know too much about it, just a little bit description, but it sounded really good and something that I'm really interested in. It's a memoir of an African-American woman and just how she grew up and the struggles she had to go through as a kid. She had a weird relationship with her mother. The relationship with the father is not great either, but she's just telling her story of how she grew up in poverty and how she, you know, went through life. I'm expecting a lot of emotions in this book, but I'm really excited to read it, and I think it's good that those type of books are out there. So one, you can educate yourself on what's going on in the world, because clearly there's stuff going on that people don't, you know, talk about enough. And two, I think it will help understand those situations better if you hear a story from someone who went through that. So I'm very excited about reading this. That's a big stack of August books. You know, it's either epic fantasy or emotional books that are not an easy read, that are not going to be an easy read. And then I still have books from July left over that I haven't read. So there are two books that I moved over from July that I kind of also still want to get to. So this is going to be really interesting. One of them is The Stranger in the Mirror from Liv Constantine. I didn't get to. I started reading it, but then for whatever reason, at the end of July, I had a scroll moment, and all of a sudden I had 5 books started, which I rarely do. So all of a sudden I had 5 things going on, and The Stranger in the Mirror kind of, you know, went in the background, but I only read six pages at that time. So I really want to read this in August. And the other one that I didn't get to because of, you know, I found other books to read, is the first book in the Tight Child trilogy, because book 3 comes out soon. You know, 1 book a month till something comes out. And I really want to read it. It's about dragons. How can I not want to read a book about dragons? So I hope I can fit this in, although that would mean I would start 4 new series in August. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I honestly have no idea. Help me. All right, so these are my plans. I'm curious to hear from you. Is there any other book that any of you have read from the big stack that I have? What are your opinions about the books that I picked? Is there anything you wanted to read forever and ever and ever as well? Let me know in the comments, and then I hope I see you soon with my next video. Bye!